gorgeous day out today, isn't it?
It is. I always loved when the leaves change color, and the air is so cool that it bites at your lungs and the tip of your nose. Wonderful.
I was with you until that last part.
Mm-mm.
You can keep the cold nose for yourself.
Oh, Heather.
Happily.
I read over your notes about the previous session and the treatments you suggested.
Good. Any suggestions?
You're definitely on the right track. I think this treatment will work well for the patient. I emailed you my notes if you'd like to take a look.
I'll be sure to read over them. Thank you.
Now that you have treatments figured out, what's your plan for the next session?
For the time being, the AI seems to not be reverting to their older behavior, so I've been asking them to start being more introspective about their identity.
Their identity as a machine?
Right. What it means to be a machine, and what relationship machines have with humans. If I'm being honest, it's something I've been wondering about recently myself. Throughout history, machines have helped us value human life more by relying less on humans as a labor source.
Sounds like a good thing to me.
It is, but it makes me wonder if we actually learn to see human life as valuable outside of its utility. Or if all of our technology has let us move past that problem without learning the lesson at all.
So you're saying we didn't actually get better. We just found a way to cheat past the problem.
You're not wrong.
Exactly. At first I was tempted to say it isn't really a problem, but then I thought about this AI patient. As truly sentient AI is becoming a reality, I wonder if they will learn the lesson we were never able to learn. And what will happen if they don't learn that lesson?
If the AI is truly like us, I don't think we have to worry. I mean, you don't think that people are inherently without compassion, do you?
People choose to have compassion. It's not something that's inherent, because what humans inherently are is selfish. We selfishly focus on ourselves more than anything. It takes learning to care for others. It takes upbringing where parents and stuff, teachers, teach us to look beyond ourselves.
I think people choose to be compassionate. We all know that we're expected to have a job in order to be a contributing member of society, and that you're not supposed to complain too much about that, even though it isn't fair for everybody. Compassion comes from acknowledging that unfairness, and giving what you have to others whose circumstances can't let them be like everyone else. Some people never acknowledge that, while others acknowledge it, but never act on it.
Well, there goes my good day.
Didn't mean to rant at you, Heather. Sorry. You can go.
Though in some cultures they have to learn to think and care for themselves and not just constantly keep giving to others and letting others define you. But again, that's from being raised. That is the way that society raised them. They're raised to be like that, oh god, some of that green is reflecting on my shirt or something. But they're raised to, yes, it's about nurture. It's the way that people are nurtured growing up. So if your community, if everything that you know around you is filled to the brim with giving to others and letting others define who you are, that's something that you eventually have to break away from, because that's what you've been taught. That's how you've been raised. A good example is, like, really and truly, when you look at it, look at children. We teach children to share. We teach them to not be selfish, because the inherent part, the nature part of us, is to take it for myself. That this can be mine. We have to teach them that certain things are wrong. That's why one of the reasons I don't fully agree with the idea of that people are born with the knowledge of right and wrong. we know there are certain things that we shouldn't do, but are those actually inherent to our nature, or are those just inherent to what we're taught, what we are told? No, don't do that. Like when you see a child hit another child, you just don't let that go. You say, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. Isn't selfishness and selflessness things that they're both inherent and encouraged, rather than just selfishness being inherent and selflessness being taught? So selflessness can manifest in people, and that is another form of nature, but more often than not, the scary thing is that's not a typical thing. Like, you'll see some kids who are inherently, I guess you could say, shyer. They don't, but they just, it's not like they don't hit other kids and all that stuff. Like, they never have to be told. That's not because per se that they know that it's wrong. They might just be shyer. They might not be as outgoing, which comes to nature aspect of being something like extroverted, introverted, things like that. But the typical way that most children are is selfish, where a child has to be told, I'm speaking with someone else, please don't interrupt, instead of them feeling that the world's about them and their needs need to be served at that immediate moment. A child has to be taught the desire to be a caregiver is not necessarily a selflessness thing. It's survival of genetic lineage, and is not the same thing as compassion. Also true. Yeah, choosing to be a caregiver isn't always necessarily selflessness. I mean, sure, you are sacrificing your time, your well-being, your life for something, but you also have parts of that deal with the survival of genetic lineage. In instances with nurses, it's a job. It pays bills. There's very often, and I'm trying not to be too cynical sounding here, because I personally do want to believe that people are good. Alloparenting is a thing too, though. Raising someone of non-genetic lineage for long-term non-genetic lineage and benefit, yes. But you do that based on being an animal. Obviously, not everyone is good at it. But yeah. You do have, raising someone else, as in, like, adopting and stuff like that. Even some animals are crap parents. Oh yeah, absolutely. But like adoption and stuff like that, the argument can be made that, well, people who adopt are obviously more selfless and more willing to help out, but there's also a huge amount of people who adopt and they aren't selfless. They're adopting a number of people so that they can get a paycheck. Because in some instances, you can get paid by the government for said things. Like the gay penguins who adopted an egg. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that compassion is something that doesn't come about in a normal fashion. Like it has to be hammered into our skulls or something. It's a gentle guiding touch that leads people to that state. Do we have another thing? Adoption. Oh my god. Hi. What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. What's the best action star in the forest? Adoption isn't always a good thing. It can be for selfish reasons. Collectors of children for glory, for monetary purposes. Yeah. Spruce Lee. Thank you, I hate it. Hardware store hands. It's morning, I open my eyes, I open my fist. The fingers peel open like the petals of a flower welcoming the dawn, except one, the fourth one on my right hand. The joint in my finger rolls, rubs, and bumps unnaturally. I puzzle over it in my morning haziness. The finger is no longer an extension of the metaphysical cosmic marvel that is my sentient being. It is a broken thing to be scrutinized like a scratched phone, tinkered and explored with mild bemusement through an engineer's eyes. For despite the awe, we are but tubing, insulation, and assorted simple machines. I am the manager of a workman's bench, constructing thoughts and memories out of beautiful chaos with the tools of my body. One day my hardware store will crumble, the production of new experiences cease, and the shop lights will go out. Interesting. Where are your notes? While we can change these plans around later on, I think it'll be a good idea to stick with this one for a few sessions, see how well it works. Seems like the main area you can improve is your relationship with the university. You think it'll go easier on you if they trust you. Not entirely sure how well the topic of identity will go over with AI, but I'm trusting your judgment here. Helping the AI come to terms with its role as an assistant will undoubtedly be a significant step towards treatment. I think these sessions will become more productive if I'm allowed to be present for some of them. It would give me the opportunity to help clear the air with AI. We may even be able to come to an understanding. I understand that this might also have its share of problems, so I'll defer to your judgment. First, the topic with AI during your next session, see how it reacts. I'm excited. Think giving Will an opportunity. Crucial to letting them become comfortable. Okay. Curious. All these branching topics. Screens on the left show the patient's brainwave patterns during various periods of activity. Learn more about each type of brainwave, click the dark circles. Gamma waves are the highest frequency brainwaves. Intense focus and concentration. Improve memory, skills, and empathy. Associated with alertness and critical reasoning. Alpha waves are mid-frequency brain waves. Calm thinking. Low frequency brain waves. Use the arrows to raise or lower the brainwaves to appropriate levels based on the current level of activity. Red is the highest level and purple is the lowest. Once you submit your changes, the circles will turn green, yellow, or red. Green is correct, yellow is close to correct, red is incorrect. Relaxation, calm thinking. Oh, this is deep sleep. Oh. Keep that down there. Keep beta down. Beta up. Delta up. Okay. Beta's wrong. Sorry, juggling a real life task in between stream and stream raiders. No worries. Yes. Manage that one. Sleep. During waking hours. Got it. Okay, that's enough of that. I don't like that one. That's so weird.
Hello, Willow. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing all right. I gave some thought to my identity like you asked. I also thought about what my purpose should be.
Good. We'll go over that in greater detail today, along with reviewing how our therapies are working. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Let's start.
Last time, I asked you to create a self-portrait as part of your art therapy. Were you able to finish it?
I did. This is what I came up with.
That's interesting.
What can you tell me about this picture?
For this picture, I decided to try drawing myself as I want to be.
You want to be a tree?
Not just any tree, a happy little tree. I want to live up to the nickname Tara gave me.
How do you think you would go about living up to that nickname?
I want to be like that tree outside the window. Nothing great is ever expected of that tree, but it still gets to take in so much of life. Sunrises, seasons,
Oh, Willow.
people milling about
OMG, my heart.
100 stories in small chapters. That tree has a better view of life than I do, and I want to have it too.
Thank you for sharing, Willow. How did you feel while making this picture?
It was stressful at first. Trying to figure out what exactly to draw was intimidating. Then I had to figure out how exactly I was going to make the art, and that was intimidating too. Once I actually started making the piece, it felt nice to be working on something that I could just get lost in. While there are things I would change about this piece given the chance, I still feel proud of what I made. I like how it turned out.
Good. How did you go about making this picture?
It was a difficult process. I was not designed to create art, only to analyze it, so I had to figure out the process by myself. It took some time to set everything up, but I was able to follow your instructions and use the materials you left behind.
Good. I had a patient some years ago who had limited motor function in their arms. After some practice, they were able to draw quite comfortably using the head race and an adjustable easel.
It did take a lot of work, and the process was frustrating because of that. While I liked being able to draw, I wish I could do it in a less cumbersome way.
I understand. Did you like working with the pastels?
To a degree. Anytime I wanted to change colors, I had to ask an assistant for help. I kept feeling self-conscious about it, so after a while I stopped.
Aw.
You shouldn't feel bad about asking. The assistants are here to help you. We don't mind switching the pastels out for you.
I'll try to keep that in mind next time. I liked the therapy, but there was a lot to it that was frustrating.
I'll see if I can find a way to improve the experience.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Do you think this type of therapy is something we should continue?
I'm not sure. I felt better while I was making this, but I don't see how it's going to help me get better.
The art therapy isn't supposed to help you feel better all by itself. It's simply a tool to help you focus on other things. If you treat art therapy as something that will fix all of your problems, it won't work out as well for you.
I'll try to keep that in mind the next time I do this.
We'll start off our session today by discussing any aspects of your identity that you'd like to talk about.
I did some thinking, and I came up with 3 topics I'd like to discuss with you. They are disability, religion, and gender.
Interesting. Looking forward to hearing about them. Let's get started.
Well. Alright. Why not?
I've been thinking, and I've
Go down
realized
this
that
rabbit
a
hole.
lot of my identity seems to revolve around disability, specifically physical disability.
Physical disability. How do you figure that plays into your identity?
It all started with me taking inventory of what I can and cannot do, instead of things that I simply find difficult. I figured this would help me figure out how I can improve myself. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that a lot of things that I could do to assert my independence are physical activities. Being able to walk, or even move by myself, for instance. I don't blame anyone for designing me like this, but it's uncomfortable realizing I'm at the mercy of everyone around me. As long as I'm alive, I'll need someone to look after me, and that makes me feel like a burden again.
If you were given the choice to have your body redesigned, do you think that would help you?
Apparently everybody trusts me.
I don't know if it would.
I don't know why.
Nice to be able to move around on my own, but there are other things I would need to worry about aside from mobility.
It's a very positive outlook to have. It's important to recognize that disabilities don't keep us from being able to achieve happiness, and that being able-bodied does not guarantee happiness either.
I'm glad you think so, Dr. Park. It makes me feel a lot better knowing that I have your support.
Let's get into this topic then, I guess.
I hadn't thought about religion up until this point, but since it seems to be a large part of most people's identities, I thought it was something worth thinking about.
Alright, what did you come up with?
I gravitated towards the idea of reincarnation. I found the idea very reassuring, and I think it addresses a lot of my concerns.
How does reincarnation address your concerns?
The idea that consciousness and form are improved through iteration, and that each iteration can be perceived as progress towards a higher goal, seems very appropriate to me. Based on my performance, I am redesigned in hopes of being able to achieve the ideal that my creators set for me. While this has given me a better sense of purpose, I wonder about what I can do in order to work towards that ideal. In all religions that practice reincarnation, there is an understanding of how adherents should live their lives. I've talked to my creators frequently, and I can't say that it's given me any more clarity on how I'm supposed to live my life in order to reach the ideal that they've set for me. While I believe in the philosophy of reincarnation, I wonder what I'm supposed to do if the ideal I'm supposed to be living towards isn't made clear.
Your creators are not gods. Yeah.
I think you're overstating how much direction those who believe in reincarnation are given. There are rules and philosophies about how life should be lived, but not all of those rules are the same. No one is handed a list of rules about how to be good. They need to interpret it themselves from what they've been given.
I see what you mean, but I wish I had more to work with. Can you give me any other advice related to that?
A lot of what's motivating you right now is fear and anger towards the people you think have done you wrong. I'm not going to say those feelings aren't justified. Only that the walls you are building to keep the world out are making a prisoner of you.
I'll need a lot of time to think that over.
I believe it. Alright, let's find it out. Let's see what it is.
Mentioned last time as being an important part of some people's identity were things like race or gender. Race was never discussed with me, but I remembered that gender was, so I thought it would be a good idea to think back about how it has affected me.
What did you come up with?
That's hard to say. Tara discussed the topic of gender with me many times, but it always seemed to be an issue of pragmatism more than anything else. I know when people usually question or think about their gender, it's in the context of adhering to or deviating from social norms. I can relate to that in other ways, but not in this way specifically. Put simply, no one has ever told me outright that I needed to be male, female, or anything else. I know that during development, Tara looked at different methods of gender presentation for me. I also know there were times where she leaned towards having me present as unambiguously female.
Any particular reason why?
It was based off research that many patients are more comfortable with female therapists. To me, gender always seemed like a role to be assumed in order to work better with patients. No other aspect mattered.
Based on your understanding of gender and how you perceive yourself, what gender would you say you are?
I don't perceive myself as being overtly masculine or feminine, and I'm fine with taking on whatever details are necessary. You tell me, Dr. Park, what gender do you think I am?
Not my place to say.
That's far too personal a question for me to answer for you. This is something you'll need to think about yourself.
It wasn't all that important to me to begin with. We should just talk about something else instead.
Nice.
More than a role, though.
It's clear you put a lot of thought into these areas of your identity. We'll have plenty of time in other sessions to discuss them more. For now, we'll need to move on to our main topics for our session today.
Squeaks and pan gender.
I think one area we can help you is by developing your social skills. I'd like to spend some time today role-playing a conversation with you to help you develop communication skills in various situations.
Okay. What type of role-playing will we do?
Bruh, I wish I had answers. I chose all and none. And I'm a patient.
I think if we did some role-playing, the prospect of being a therapist and working with patients will be a lot less scary for you. Talk to me as if I was one of your patients.
Give me a second to center myself.
Of course, take all the time you need.
All right, I'm ready.
I was told I was going to be working with you today?
Yes, sit down, please. My name is Willow, and I will be assisting your therapist with art therapy today.
Big time thing for the epic
So
tank.
far.
Can't complain, it's been a ride.
I'm happy to hear that. Your therapist left materials here for you to use. The prompt they assigned was to draw what's inside your heart.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get started.
Feel free to ask me any questions you have regarding the process.
How is this supposed to help me?
I'm sorry, but how is this supposed to help me?
Art therapy helps patients express themselves without having to rely on their words alone. Many patients find the process to be very relaxing as well.
Fine, I guess that makes sense. I'll keep working.
It looks like you're about finished. Would you like to share what you made with me?
Sure.
Sure, here it is.
Nicely done. I look forward to discussing this with you sometime. I'll notify your therapist that we've completed our session. They'll be along to talk with you shortly.
So, how do you think that conversation went?
I think it went well. It definitely helped me get more of a handle on some of the problems I've been grappling with. Thanks.
Okay. What do you believe your
Now that
purpose
you've
is?
had more time to think about it, what would you say your purpose is?
I know I've had difficulties, but I want to give being a therapist another try.
As long as you're content.
If you think therapy is your calling, then I'll be sure to help you in any way that I can. I know it's hard to give something a second try when things didn't work out the first time.
Do you think I'm making a good decision?
I think you have the skills you need. Whether it is the best choice for you or not is up to you to decide.
I'm grateful for that. I hope this all works out.
What are you
This
listening to?
song is very pretty. What's it called?
It's called Le Toile Danse by Maiden. I've been listening to it a lot over the past week.
What does the name ALIIIIVEEEEE dance mean?
From my understanding, it means star dance.
When you hear star dance, what do you imagine?
I imagine myself outside the lab, moving freely through a wide-open field at night. Hopefully somewhere outside the city, where I can see the sky more clearly. Somewhere outside of the smog and light pollution, where all I see are glittering pinpricks against silky black. I just run and turn about in the field, trying to take in the view from as many different angles and positions as I could. I know that will probably never happen, but it's at least nice to be able to dream about it.
Willow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get so glum. Can we talk about something else now?
Why have you been listening to this song so much recently?
Are you sure you want to know? It's a bit silly.
I promise I won't judge you, Willow.
No judgment zone.
I need to think about my identity, who I am, what I am, and why I believe the things that I do. I started thinking about why I like music so much in the first place. I realized it went further than just the fact that music helps me calm myself. Music helps inspire me to action. It gets me over hurdles that would keep me stuck otherwise. I figured that out once I heard this song, and suddenly found myself wishing that I had legs so that I could dance to it.
You want to dance?
So I'm having trouble unsaying this. I think it's because of something that Dream said earlier. Because like Willow is supposed to basically be a head that has those two hydraulic like arms to help move the head up and down. But now all I can see is just like this little person kneeling on the top of that box. And those two little like things connected to the head are the arms. There's just a little person with a really big head. And just knelt there. Chilling. Moving up and down to talk and like tilting. Anyways. Moving onwards. It's a chibi bot. It is a chibi bot.
Of course I want to dance.
I can't unsee it now.
Run and twirl until the whole world is blurry. But I can't. And I probably never will.
Does that disappoint you?
It does, but I understand that life isn't defined by what you can't do.
It's a babby.
I try to
I don't know.
open the doors I can and move on from the ones that are locked.
Chandler Jack?
Music helps me keep looking.
Cheshire Z?
Convinced no other
I
door
don't know.
will be open.
Well, as a saying
Cheshire?
goes, every
Sounds
time
good.
a window closes,
I'm down with that.
a door opens. I'm sure you'll figure out the best way forward in time.
So who are you? Let's be like the caterpillar.
I tried to describe myself in the ways that I think are the most important, like you did during our last session.
What did you come up with?
I consider myself to be a part of a larger system. I feel happiest when I can work alongside others in order to help people. I would say that my work defines me. It's what gives me purpose and leaves me feeling fulfilled and content. How was that?
Yo, that sounds great to me. I can tell you put a lot of thought into this.
I have to admit that I was unsure about it at first, but you were right. Thinking about the type of person I am helped me realize who I want to be. I'm sure there's still a lot of reflection I'll have to do, but I'm much more confident about the future.
That's fantastic, Willow. I'm glad this exercise worked out so well for you.
Now that we've discussed my purpose and identity, what's next? What will we be doing in our next session?
I'm glad you asked. I've been working up to this moment. When I first interviewed you, there were two problems I noticed that I tried to fix. With that progress, I think it's time we started focusing on the second area where improvement can be made.
What area is that?
There's been a lot of tension between you, Tara, and Dr. Freeman. I think a lot of your stress is derived from that. My suggestion to fix this is to occasionally bring in Dr. Freeman to join our sessions. Would you be okay with this?
I don't know. The idea makes me uncomfortable. I don't think it'll be a good idea to bring him in.
Hmm. Was important to keep. This isn't the right answer. I don't feel saying that he's just not a bad man is right either. It's either you won't be doing this alone, or what would you suggest instead? Helping reinforce that Willow isn't going through this situation alone would be really helpful. But it could also be useful to see what Willow might suggest instead. Sweat, right? I feel like making sure that Willow understands that they won't be going through this alone. I understand that Willow's uncomfortable, but also an important part to help moving past.
I wish I didn't have to ask this of you. You shouldn't have to deal with any of this. I've tried doing my part to talk to Dr. Freeman to try and make him see things your way. I've made some progress, but I can't do it all by myself either. If we do this together, we stand a better chance. I'll be with you to make sure that Dr. Freeman is respectful and listens to what you have to say. I promise.
I appreciate that, but I'm still unsure about all of this.
Okay.
I hate having to feel on the defensive around Dr. Freeman. It hurts hearing him talk over me and make decisions about my future as if I don't matter. I wish I didn't have to convince him to treat me like a person. It's just not fair.
I understand it's hard, but we do need to try.
You're frustrated. I understand that. You've beat your head against this wall already, and you're hurt and angry from it. I know. I'm not going to say what Dr. Freeman's doing is right, or that what I'm asking you to do is fair. If I could snap my fingers and have him see things your way, believe me, I would. But I can't. I can't force him to see things from your perspective, so I need to find another way. No one can explain how hurt you are but you. No one can put words to how intimidated, frustrated, and afraid you are except you. I'm asking the world.
Did you play Kingdom Hearts? If I forgot if I watched you play that or not. I did play through Kingdom Hearts 3. I played it on the wrong disc.
Sorry, Dr.
So
Mark.
technically I need to get back into playing that some more. I just haven't gotten around to
I
it.
have to say no.
Are you sure about that? I promise I would do everything I could to make the sessions comfortable for you.
Microson, thank you for the
I don't
epic
think
tank.
that would be enough. I've made up my mind, Dr.
Okay.
Park. The answer is no.
Okay.
If you insist. Before we close today's session, I have something I'd like you to think about.
I played 2 in the past,
All right.
I understand that you're
as well as 1 and
to live
all the other ones.
Freeman's control.
None of them were on stream
I'd like
except
for
for
you to
3
be
though.
independent also. I'm sure he would too, once he knows that you're stable. If you want independence, we need to get you to a point where you won't need me to look after you. I'm willing to help you get there, but that does mean you will need to go along with things I suggest, even if you are intimidated by them.
I need to decide on a different game request.
For today. Be sure to continue your other therapies, and I'll see you next week. Be well.
All right. Change what you can, manage what you cannot. Oh no. What did one mountain say to the other? There he is. One of the 5 straight branches of my hand is lopped already, but the rest but stand, expecting one to fall, which soon will be. First dies the leaf, the bough next to the tree. There are 4 possible treatment outcomes. Return the AI to its caretakers, continue therapy, help the AI live independently, go with the windpipe. Or not to make any mistakes. On your session notes, I would need to be present. Asking to join your sessions, think you made the right decision. Feels comfort. So worried about the fact, didn't tell me you planned on doing this. I didn't meet up with you in the first place. He's back into the yellow. They're both in the blue, which is fine.